Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. I am Bradley Smith, and this is This Week in History, where we will be talking about history events that happened in this week, from the week of February 23rd through March 1st. Let's get into it. So first, on February 23rd, 1945, during World War II, 6 United States Marines raised the American flag atop of Mount Suribachi on the island of Iwo Jima. This moment captured in a Pulitzer Prize-winning photograph by Joe Rosenthal and became one of the most iconic images in military history. And the most famous birthday from this day was W.E.B. Du Bois, founder of the NAACP, who was born in 1868. Now moving on to February 24th. On February 24th, 1868, the United States House of Representatives voted to impeach President Andrew Johnson, making him the first president to ever be impeached on high crimes and misdemeanors. The most famous birthday from this day was co-founder of Apple, Steve Jobs, who was born in 1955. Now we move on to Wednesday, February 25th. On February 25th, 1964, in one of the most famous upsets in sports history, 22-year-old Cassius Clay, who shortly became Muhammad Ali, defeated the heavily favored Sonny Liston to become the heavyweight champion of the world. It was after this fight that he famously shouted, "I am the greatest, and I shook up the world." The most famous birthday from this day was lead guitarist of the Beatles, George Harrison, who was born in 1943. We now go to February 26th. On this day in 1815, after being exiled to the island of Elba following his defeat by the Allied powers, Napoleon Bonaparte, French dictator, escaped with a small group of loyalists. He sailed back to France, beginning the 100 Days campaign, which eventually led to his final defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. And the most famous birthday from this day was country and rock and roll music superstar Johnny Cash, who was born in 1932. Now we move on to February 27th. On this day, in 1933, one of the most pivotal moments in the 20th century happened. The German parliament building, the Reichstag, was set on fire. The Nazi Party used this event as a pretext to claim that communists were plotting against the government. This led to the Reichstag Fire Decree, which suspended basic civil liberties and paved the way for Adolf Hitler to consolidate absolute power. And the most famous birthday from this day is the oldest person we have so far, Constantine the Great, who was a famed Roman emperor who was born in the year 272. Now we move on to February 28th. On this day in 1991, following the success of Operation Desert Storm, U.S. President George H.W. Bush declared a ceasefire and announced that Kuwait had been liberated. The ground war, which had begun only 100 hours earlier, came to an end, marking a decisive victory for the coalition forces. And the most famous birthday from this day was Luka Doncic, NBA superstar for the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers, who was born in 1999. Now finally, on March 1st, in 1692, the first 3 women, Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and an enslaved woman named Tituba, were brought before local magistrates in Salem Village, Massachusetts. Their examinations marked the start of the infamous witch trials, which would eventually lead to the execution of 20 people. And the most famous birthday from this date was Harry Belafonte, a civil rights activist who was born in 1927. That's all the time I have for this week. Next week, I will bring you guys more historical facts for that week. But until then, see you next time. God bless America.